The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, read about it with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show for you today, including a talk with Oklahoma author Carolyn about her latest book, Dead Days of Summer. But first, Pauline Rodriguez will be talking with Doug Benton about a book you can check out at your library.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Pauline Rodriguez. Pauline, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a while since you were on, I guess, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
All right. Well, we're going to put you on the hot seat and let you talk about a book. Speaking of hot, it's called The Hot Flash Club. And with that title, it's either a bonding story for women or a horror story for men.
This is a women's story.
All
This
right.
is about 4 women who are of an age where hot flashes become an issue. And they're very diverse. You have a brilliant scientist, a high-powered executive, a massage therapist, and a widowed painter.
Oh, okay.
They-
All upper middle class types, it sounds like.
About the same age, and they meet accidentally and start bonding over their shared misery, if you will, and discover that they all have life problems, and they start to get the idea that they can help each other out with their problems.
Okay. Is it like one story where they all combine to do something together, or is it kind of 4 stories that flash back and forth?
It's even more than 4 stories.
Oh, goodness.
Just to give you one example, Marilyn, the scientist, has a geeky nerd son who's engaged to the daughter of a wealthy doctor, and she's not too sure this girl actually loves him. So Faye, the painter, gets a job at the doctor's house as housekeeper to see what she can find out. That kind of thing
That kind
goes
of thing.
on.
Well, that sounds almost a little melodramatic there, getting the job as a housekeeper. Is it a comic novel?
It's very
essentially?
funny. It's got some very moving moments, but it's also very amusing. Any woman who is of that age can definitely relate to this story. But I think even people who are, even men,
Even men. Yeah.
even men will enjoy these women's adventures and misadventures. And one of the things I like about it, even though it has so many stories going on, is that you're not having to flip back pages to try to figure out what was happening with this character the last time.
Oh, yeah. It sounds in a way almost like a teen novel for adults. I mean, when you start talking about the 4 women, I thought immediately of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or something like that. Does it have that kind of a grown-up teen feel to it in some ways?
It does a little bit. It's definitely a bonding experience, and I think in terms of being able to relate to the characters,
Yeah.
it has a lot to do with what you see in the teen novels very
Okay,
often.
but bonding is an issue at any age.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. All right, thank you. Pauline's been talking about The Hot Flash Club by Nancy Thayer. We hope to have her on again soon, and we hope to see you again soon.
Well, Doug and I are back. We both have books in our hands, and I guess that means we've been reading something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I have been reading a really interesting book written by a gentleman called Philip Gooden. He has written a couple of other books. He is English, and the book is Faux Pas, a no-nonsense guide to words and phrases from other languages. And I was interested to find out that even Yogi Berra used words from other languages when he was talking.
Deja vu.
Deja vu, yes, indeed. And deja vu is, of course, from the French, and it's included in this book, which is got a handy pronunciation guide. It also has the definition in the original language and then an example of how it is used. He also has a pretentiousness index because
I was wondering, I was going to ask you, how serious is this book now?
Right. Well, actually, it's fairly serious, but there are a lot of words like deja vu, protege, pro rata, arriviste. Words like that are used very regularly in conversation, and so they don't have a pretentiousness index, but there are a number that if you do, you're trying to say, see, I know stuff you don't.
Is it based on language?
Yeah, Yeah, very definitely. But it is, you have to bear in mind, Gooden is English. All of his examples are from English, most of them from English newspapers. So some of these words that he might say are pretentious, we've been using all along, and others that the English use, I guess because of their proximity to the French. Most of these do seem to be French. They don't think anything of it. But intriguingly enough, honcho, which sounds Spanish, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought it was Spanish.
It's Japanese.
Oh.
And it is something that infiltrated the language probably in the late 50s or early 60s. And it does indeed mean, the head of a group or a business or whatever. So there's a little bit of history of some of these words as well. He's got a very nice introduction that in essence says that every language borrows from its neighbors. But the English language seems to be the one that borrows the most.
I would think that English would be the borrowed from language since it's become so universal now.
Well, there are a lot of words that show up in English that shows up in Urdu and Japanese and so on, but at the same time that they're taking one or two technical words from us, we're using a whole bunch of words to... And I really think it's because English seems to be the language that likes to define things very precisely. And so if we have a word that almost covers the idea, but the French have a word that nails it, then we tend to borrow that word. And that's my own personal explanation for it. But it's a very interesting book. It's a lot of fun to read. It's the kind you can pick up and read a little bit and put back down. And if you want to amuse, startle, and impress your friends.
Now, is French more pretentious than Latin?
Actually, not really.
I wouldn't think so.
What I found interesting was there are a number of words in here that he says were originally Latin, became French, and now are used in English. So words travel quite a bit, and they pick up associations on their travels, some good and some not so good.
Yeah.
So Faux Pas is by Philip Gooden. You can find it at your library. Coming up next, M.J. Van Deventer of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum talked with Chef Walter, a local chef and teacher, about one of his favorite books.
Chef Walter, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure, especially since we're going to be talking about one of my favorite books of all time.
And one of my favorite chefs outside of you, Rick Bayless, Mexico, one plate at a time.
I had to reach way back into my library to find this book because it's
And you had to
really
clean it
about.
off,
I had to
too.
clean it off. It had food on it. Yeah, I had to reach way back because it's almost 6 years old. But I tell you, it defines an excellent Mexican food cookbook for me.
You said it has a wonderful, like a glossary of questions in the back of the book, which is
You know, there are
unusual for a
two
cookbook.
things about it that I find very appealing. One is that I feel it really is the penultimate Mexican food encyclopedia. If you've got questions, if you need answers, if you're not sure of an ingredient, it really is one of the places to go. The second thing that I think is so amazing about this book is that it is the most rigorously formatted book I've ever seen for a cookbook.
Really?
And I think it really opened up the doors for cookbooks as they moved from being like a description of a science experiment, you know, the exact formula and then the procedure, to being more of a description of food and its preparation.
And almost interactive in a way.
Almost interactive. It starts out with a fantastic history of whatever the main ingredient is. If they're talking a wonderful section on tamales that tells you about the history, about how tamales are sold presently in the provinces of Mexico, what the ingredients and what styles we can see. It then moves into a series of recipes that describe different tamales for their fillings and different tamales for the batter that's used, and then ends up really a really nice end to each section is that somebody has gone and cooked from the recipes that Rick has provided and then asked him questions where their failing points were. My batter didn't seem fluffy enough. Is it supposed to crack, and each of those things are addressed by him. So I think that this really allows for the full spectrum of the recipe to be kind of encompassed. It's almost like having somebody teach you personally, and that's what I
Yes.
love about the book.
We should also note that Rick Bayless is from Oklahoma City.
That's right, absolutely. Among some of my favorite chefs, and he's right here from town.
Yeah, and he owns 2 great restaurants in
That's
Chicago.
right, that's right,
And
with names that I can't say.
I know, I can't either. But I've had the good fortune to eat in both of them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Recently?
About a year ago, I took a group to Chicago for an art trip, and we had dinner at, I had a lunch at one of his restaurants, and the group had a tasting dinner at one of his
Oh,
very
that sounds
elegant restaurants.
fantastic.
It was
Did
great.
you enjoy it? Did you get to meet him?
Yes, he came and he spoke to us about food and ingredients and kind of a reprise of this book.
Of that book right there?
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful. One of my favorites. If you can look it up, it's called Rick Bayless's Mexico One Plate at a Time.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this book with us, and do come see us again.
I will.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Doug and I are back, and this time Doug has got a book to talk about.
I do. I brought a couple of books. I hope we get time for both of them. And they are blasts from the past for baby boomer boys, probably more than girls.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover, and it's
It doesn't ring any bells?
No.
No. Well, the EC line of comic books in the early 50s were very controversial and very popular. They were mostly horror stories, crime stories. Well, Tales from the Crypt, people will be familiar with that title, perhaps, for the HBO series of a few years ago. And this is a book about the artists who illustrated the comics. There were several of them who worked for EC at that time. EC's only remaining comic is Mad, which changed to a magazine format so it wouldn't have to abide by the rules of the comics code. So it's still around, excuse me. But this is a book that's about mostly the horror comics. EC also did war stories and a couple of Western titles and some science fiction. They were mostly known for their horror stuff. Here's a sample, if I can get there we go, get that held up. Work of Graham Ingalls, whose nickname was Ghastly, because his specialty was rotting corpses. Some of the other artists from the EC Bank, here's an illustration by a man named Jack Davis, who went on after the collapse of the comics to be the highest paid commercial artist in America, doing movie posters and magazine covers. I can remember him doing TV guides. It seems like every couple of months there was a Jack Davis cover on there. Each of these guys did something a little bit different. Davis's specialty was really tongue-in-cheek horror stories, because there was always kind of a comic flair to his drawing. He never really moved away from that. As I say, Ingalls did really ghastly, rotting corpse stories. Johnny Craig was his specialty. He did the cover of the book. His specialty was very tense, dramatic stories. People were always sweating, big beads of perspiration in a Johnny Craig story. So if you have any fond memories of the EC comics, I think you'll enjoy this book. The other one I brought, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that if you had fond memories or if you were wondering what was wrong with the 50s and 60s.
You sound like a member of the Senate subcommittee that investigated those comics. This is the second book is called Famous Monster Movie Art of Basil Gogos. And this is a guy who will not be as, his name will not be as familiar, but he did a lot of illustrations for the monster movie magazines in the 60s, a lot of cover work. And he was actually the guy who did the conceptual art for the series of stamps that came out in the late 90s celebrating movie monsters. So another one that I think is kind of fun to look at.
Yeah. And you can check both out at your library.
We got them.
Great. And coming up next, Ronna Davis will be telling Kelly Rhea about a book that I think our teens might be interested in and that they can check out at the library.
Hi, thanks for coming. Today, Ronna Davis from the Edmond Library is here. She is the teen librarian along with many other things. You wear many hats.
Oh, yes.
You brought a fabulous book to talk about today, and it's called?
And it's called From Charlie's Point of View.
I liked it. I actually got to read it. I was really thrilled. And it really sucked me in quickly. It has a momentum to it.
That's what I really liked about it, is that immediately I liked it. I liked the characters. I liked the description that the author did about the characters, and the fact that the protagonists were kind of unusual, especially Charlie, because I don't think there's actually that many teen books that have been written about a blind teenager. So I liked it.
Yeah, and from his point of view, obviously it's not going to be things that he sees because he's limited in that way, but his sensory, you know, what he goes through is so much a part of the book. I think that to me that's part of what made it so enticing.
That's right. He's just very, very tuned in, and his two closest friends really look up to him, and that's really borne out later in the book when he decides to do a very risky thing to save his father, which you'll understand if you read the book.
Exactly. It was I found the themes to be a buddy story, big city, going to a new school. There were bullies in it.
That's right.
There are so many wonderful topics that I think this would appeal to just a whole range of, I don't know, 11, 12,
12,
14,
even 13,
15s.
14, yeah.
It was really good. And so what was amusing? What do you think was the most part of the amusing part?
It was probably, as I mentioned already, it was just the interaction between Charlie and his friend, and then the author throws in some contemporary references like to current TV shows and to video games and things like that kind of resonate and also are kind of funny. And there's even a fantasy character thrown in, and you don't know how real he is or how not real, but to me he kind of spiced up the whole thing.
He did it, and I wasn't sure how to interpret it, but it didn't bother me. It didn't stick out. It belonged there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. So why do you think this book would appeal to teenagers?
Because it appealed to me.
Oh, well, that's a very good reason. Well, you'll have to check it out for yourself. It's called From Charlie's Point of View. The author is Richard Scrimger.
Scrimger, I believe.
Thank you. We know that you'll enjoy it. It's at your local bookstore or at your favorite library.
With me now is Carolyn Hart. She is an Oklahoma writer. She's been writing mysteries for a very long time. As we just said, we're not going to go into just how many years. You have won just about every award for mystery writers that is available. And it was last year or the year before you were the Lifetime Achievement winner?
I'm going to be the Lifetime Achievement next spring at the traditional mystery gathering, Malice Domestic, but I was the guest of honor a few years ago. So.
But you were you got the Oklahoma Center for the Book.
Oklahoma, yes, I was
Lifetime
thinking of
Achievement,
the national.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, there are quite a few of those around, and we won't talk about how long the lifetime has been. But
No, you know, it sort of makes you nervous because the fellow who was this year's Lifetime Achievement honoree in Washington, Robert Barnard, a British author, and Bob also has been the guest of honor, as I have been, and now I'm going to be the Lifetime Achievement. He said, you know, the only thing left is Ghost of Honor, and he's not in any hurry, nor am I.
Right.
So.
Well, you have a new Max and Annie Darling
Yes.
novel out. This is one of a very long-standing, highly successful series, and you just kind of smile when you hear her name, Annie Darling.
Oh, thank you.
And but this time.
It's a little more stressful story.
I was going to say, we start out with Annie stressing over a surprise birthday party for Max, and of course her darling mother-in-law has been
Helpful.
helpful in adding a great deal to the stress.
Yes.
But things go seriously wrong.
Yes.
And Max actually ends up being put in jail. He's arrested for murder.
That's correct, and it all starts so innocently because Max calls to tell Annie that he'll be late getting home. He's just taken on a new case, but he never comes home. And of course she knows, she really understands immediately that something dreadful has happened. When he is finally found, there is a dead young woman nearby and the murder weapon in the trunk of his car. The facts seem absolutely damning, and the world doesn't believe in him, but Annie does. And so she ends up going undercover to try and discover the truth and try to outwit a murderer who may have committed the perfect crime. So it's a bit more stressful than most of the books.
Yeah. Well, I thought one of the very interesting things about it was that all of the world is perfectly ready to condemn Max, and in fact the mayor is thrilled. We've got this one wrapped up.
You bet, you bet.
And he tells the chief of police, you just go on to that continuing education program you were signed up for. But Max and Annie have been part of this community for a very long time, and they are really loved, and not just because they have the greatest mystery bookstore in the world.
That's right, and Annie's friends and Max's friends do rally round, and part of the reason that Max is ultimately vindicated is because of the work of the police chief, who he at first even he is suspicious because the facts are so dreadful, but he continues to investigate, and there's a silver car that was seen near the last time that the murder victim was observed. And the police chief wants to know who was driving that car and why. And so it is in part his work and in part Annie's efforts that end up revealing the truth.
Well, I found it very interesting the way Annie was able to reach out. There was one gentleman who helped because she and Max had saved his son from a murder charge, and of course Henny is there to help, and even the wonderful mother-in-law.
Yes, she does her best.
Wonderful / dreadful.
I have much fun with her. I really do.
Well, you always I always think of awful when she comes on the scene. Awful means inspiring awe, but it also means, oh, how am I going to live through this?
Right. We just don't know what she's going to do.
Right. And in fact, she decides to help with the undercover work.
She does indeed, much to Annie's concern, because Annie's afraid that she will absolutely tip off everyone to what's going on, but Laurel manages her part just fine. So.
I suspect she is actually a lot more with it than she indicates to the
of
world.
course.
It's just a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun, you bet.
So really this is not quite nostalgic, wonderful visit in a way to the old stomping grounds. This all takes place on the island,
right?
With all of the old friends and that come into play in a very interesting way. So I found it not exactly a look back, but it was a very nice culmination, shall we say, of so many books.
Well, I appreciate that. It is the 17th in the series, which I absolutely find astonishing.
Well, now you brought a paperback, which
that is last year's hardcover, which is now available in paperback. And I love the cover of the new book, and the reason why is that I have a new editor, and she asked to have the covers redesigned, and I think this is the very best cover I have ever had for this series, because it truly, I think speaks to readers and says this is a traditional mystery. And the previous covers I had had were cute with cats, but that I don't write cute books. I hope I write good humored books, but I don't write cute books. So I'm very pleased with that cover.
Well, it has a nice, there is a definite overshadowing of the scene on the cover, which indicates that Max, or at least somebody's
in trouble.
Somebody's in real trouble, and it's not just the dead body.
Right.
So,
right.
and the way you dealt with Max in jail, not being able to communicate with Annie, he had the anguish of not being with Annie,
Right.
but also it was looking pretty.
It was looking
serious.
pretty grim. Yes, it was. And I think part of what prompted me to write this book was the fact that we really cannot take it for granted that the facts that we think we perceive are actually true, or that they mean what they seem to mean. I think people sometimes look at a situation and they immediately make a judgment, and you know, perhaps that judgment is altogether wrong, even though the facts might suggest that solution. So it was an interesting exercise. Yeah.
Now, you told me earlier that you've got something
I
new
do,
coming out
I
next
do.
year.
I'm very excited. It is set in Oklahoma. It's a brand new series in the little town of Adelaide, Oklahoma, aka Ada, actually. And Ada inspired it because that's my husband's hometown, and so it's kind of the background. But my protagonist, and I think this is fairly unusual, my protagonist is a ghost, and everything is seen from her perspective. So it's not a book that has a ghost in it, or third person. It's first person. The ghost is telling the story, and she comes back to Earth in hopes of helping someone in trouble. And when she arrives, she immediately recognizes where she is. She's in the backyard of the rectory of the little Episcopal church in Adelaide, and the rector's wife is standing on the back porch, and she's just discovered a dead body. And so my ghost, Bailey Ruth Rayburn, helps her move the body to the cemetery, and everything disintegrates from that point.
Well, we will definitely have to have you back on to tell us more
Okay.
about it when it
Thank
comes
you.
out.
I appreciate it.
And I want to thank you, Carolyn, for being with us.
It's fun.
Carolyn Hart has been here telling us about Dead Days of Summer. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.